All right, so what you're going to do is on your Canvas screen, you're going to find the Greece Review Part 2. Click on that. There it is. And basically, we're going to look at the classical era starting here and a lot of what the people brought to the table when they were, the philosophers, people who wrote dramas, all that good stuff. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to bring this up for you. All right, the classical era is best known as the golden age of Pericles. Athenian culture during this era really thrived and became, the foundation stones of Western civilization. This is where you see real democracy extended to most adult males. Of course, women, slaves, foreigners were not allowed, a political voice, but in this case, democracy was what we call direct democracy, really a pure democracy where everyone voted on things, or at least everyone considered a citizen would vote on things. Pericles had Athens rebuilt after its destruction in the Persian Wars. The Parthenon is an example of this reconstruction. Freedom is the sure possession of those alone who have the courage to defend it. So Pericles believed that, democracy, freedom was worth defending. The golden age of Pericles, you had architecture. You will have to identify Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian type of columns. The famous playwrights, Aeschylus and Sophocles. The blind poet, the writer of the Iliad and Odyssey, Homer. History, the two first historians were Herodotus. Herodotus is known as the father of history, and Thucydides, who wrote a very detailed manuscript of the Peloponnesian Wars. Sculpture, Phidias. Phidias created the statue of Athena and Zeus, statue of Athena that went in the Parthenon. Math. Euclid is the father of modern geometry. Pythagoras is known for Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When you look at science, you think Archimedes. Archimedes was like a scientist like you think about in your science class. He invented the pulley. He did all kinds of things with levers. He made the Archimedes screw, which, allowed them to bring water out of the ground. Okay, so he was like a real scientist. He discovered buoyancy and was known for running around, the town naked, yelling Eureka. Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine. He is like your first doctor. Doctors today, they still take the Hippocratic Oath, meaning they take an oath to not do any harm to a person that's in their care, and an oath not to tell their business, which is what we call doctor-patient confidentiality today. Philosophy, you have in this order, Socrates. His student was Plato. Plato's student was Aristotle, and it goes just like SPA, S-P-A, SPA. Okay, that's how you can remember that. Aristotle was the tutor of Alexander the Great. Philip II of Macedonia conquered most of Greece before dying. Okay, his son finished what his father started, becoming the most powerful man in the world. His empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and the western border of India. He spread Hellenic culture or Hellenistic culture, a combination of Greek and Oriental cultures. As his empire grew, he spread Hellenistic culture, which spread quickly through trade throughout the Mediterranean region. So here you see Philip II, he conquered most of Greece. Remember, Greece was weak from the Peloponnesian Wars, and it was easy for Philip II to come in and beat Athens and Sparta, the main two, and take out all of the other city-states. And he actually united Greece, and a lot of people in Greece saw this as a good thing. He established an empire from Alexander the Great, his son, established an empire from Greece to Egypt and the margins of India, adopted Greek culture and spread Hellenistic influences throughout his vast empire, extended Greek cultural influences, and brought about the Hellenistic Age. The Hellenistic Age is a blend of Greek and Oriental elements. He spread Hellenistic culture through trade. All right, next subject we're going to be talking about is Rome, so we're not going to talk about that now. Now, the other thing I'm going to have for you today, if I can get this on here, I want to show you first, where is there it is. I'm going to go back to your Canvas, okay, and I'm going to hook you up, especially since you were watching this. I can get it to go where I want it to go here. All right, so if you look at Monday, all right, Monday of this week, it has a Greece test review. If you click on that and you go up here and you click on this, it's going to bring up the worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and give you the answers to that right now. Okay. All right, so here's that test review that is there. Now, if I go too fast, you could stop me. But remember, I'm recording this, and I will put this on here, okay? Is it not sharing it? Sharing is paused. All right, I'm doing something wrong here. Do y'all not see that?
All I see is the Canvas page.
All right, how do I do this? Share this. Bring your share window to the front. All right. Let's see what I'm doing wrong here. New share. Here we go. Now I'm figuring this thing out. All right. You see that now? You see the test review?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So these are questions that you'll definitely see on the test. Peninsula on which the city-state of Sparta was located, the Greek, Balkan, or Peloponnesus, mostly the Peloponnesus Peninsula. The Greek word for city-state is polis. Body of water located between the Greek mainland and Asia Minor is the Aegean Sea. Remember, the Aegean is very important to the Greeks. You will have to locate that on a map on the test. Author of the Iliad and Odyssey is Homer, blind poet. Okay. The two most influential and dominant Greek city-states, often rivaled against each other for power and control over Greece, would be Athens and Sparta. Chief god in Greek mythology is going to be Zeus. Two tyrants who worked for reform in Athens, Draco and Solon. Remember, Draco was kind of a mean guy. He had very harsh law code. Solon was more fair, nice guy. Description of the landscape or terrain of Greece: mountainous, lots of islands that dotted the Aegean Sea, and non-arable or not farmable land. Greatest Greek sculptor is going to be Phidias. Greek goddess of love, desire, beauty, Aphrodite. City-state that valued education and wisdom is going to be Athens. Very, very much in contrast with Sparta, which was militaristic. Government ruled by a few or a small group is your oligarchy. And you will look at Sparta, when you think about an oligarchy, that is their type of government. Pericles, the great general and spokesman who led Athens to its golden age. In science, Hippocrates and Archimedes excelled in the field of science. Hippocrates was your modern, medical doctor. Archimedes was a scientist who discovered, buoyancy, created the lever and pulley and things like that. A monarchy is a government ruled by a single leader. What you really have to know on the test is that that Athens went from monarchy to aristocracy, to tyranny, and then to democracy. And I always think about MATD. It starts with the M, monarchy, then aristocracy, ruled by the wealthy upper class or nobility. Then it went to a tyrant, and then eventually it became democratic, and they had a direct democracy, one of the purest forms of democracy. Okay. 27-year war fought between Athens and Sparta and their allies for control and influence over Greece, Peloponnesian War. 3 great Greek philosophers, remember Socrates, who asked people to, think about things, think for yourself, reason. His student Plato, and then Aristotle. Euclid and Pythagoras excelled in mathematics. Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Euclidean geometry is something that you take here at Bassett when you get to that point in math. Some of y'all probably already taken it. City-state where women had more personal rights is Sparta, also militaristic, aggressive society. You will have to identify the 3 types of Greek columns. I always look at these and go, well, the Doric column is a lot less fancy. It's really kind of plain, goes straight across. Then your Ionic is the one that looks kind of like a honey bun. It kind of has like a swirl in it. And your Corinthian is kind of like your most fancy. The type used in the Parthenon is the Doric. It's probably the most popular type of Greek column. You see these today in buildings like, courthouses, public buildings. Sometimes even just a regular house, you'll see this type of column. Major Athenian victories at 2 key battles helped defeat the Persians. Remember the Battle of Marathon, where Phidippides ran 26.2 miles to tell of the Athenian victory over the Persians, and then he died right there. That's why people run marathons today. 26.2 miles. Salamis. Salamis was a sea battle in which Themistocles tricked Xerxes into sending his large ships into a very narrow channel where the Athenians sank most of his ships. Strait of Dardanelles and Bosphorus Strait. I'm not going to have that on the test. It's that small strait of water connecting the Aegean Sea to the Black Sea. It's on your maps. That won't be on the test. You do have to understand citizens were free adult males who had political rights, but women, foreigners, and slaves did not have political rights. Sparta, militaristic and aggressive city-state that stressed fighting ability. Herodotus and Thucydides are your historians. Herodotus is the father of history. Thucydides wrote a history of the Peloponnesian Wars. Tyranny, government in which the rulers appeal to the poor for support and then rule as an absolute ruler. Not a dictator, because they often have support of the poor. Dictators, a guy we're going to talk about when we talk about Julius Caesar. Drama, Sophocles and Aeschylus excelled in this field of study. So really when you see, the theater dramas, Sophocles and Aeschylus are the names you should associate with that. The best way to study these, to be honest, is to look at the flashcard set that I have with the, you go through the PowerPoint flashcards and you just, it'll have a question and then you flip for the answer. Persian War, a series of wars which Athens and Sparta fought together against a common enemy, which was Persia. You will not have to know Ares is the god of war. That will not be on the test. You will need to know jealous and tricky wife of Zeus would be Hera. Socrates was the Greek philosopher sentenced to death by poison. Most important sea to the Greeks is going to be your Aegean Sea. The Greeks developed these to combat the problems of overpopulation and shortage of arable land, colonies. The goddess of wisdom and protectress of Athens is Athena. Dates of the Peloponnesian War. The main thing you have to understand is the Persian War comes first, then you have the Golden Age, then you have the Peloponnesian War, which is 431 to 404 BC. It's going to ask you, like, I don't know if it'll specifically ask you for a date, but you have to know which one comes first. And then Persian Wars come before the Peloponnesian. Phidippides is the marathon runner during the Persian Wars. The Parthenon is considered a temple to Athena, whereby it housed her statue. Apollo is the sun god. Remember, he brings the sun up on his chariot each morning. The god of light, healing, and the arts. Artemis is the Greek moon goddess of hunting. Herodotus is the historian or the father of history who wrote about the Persian Wars. And then, a peninsula is land surrounded by water on three sides. Greece is an example. So you have that right there.